So with L'Occitane, it was a much bigger scale. Huge company. So we got data on hundreds of thousands of customers, potential customers, and dormants. So people who hadn't bought for the company for over a year. And it was the US and 5 European countries. And so there we used the typical kind of CRM approach, right? So we basically classified consumers by recency, monetary value, and clumpiness of their purchases. Do you do all your purchases right before Christmas for your wife, or do you spread them out over the year and so forth? And so we had about 6 of these, behavioral segments. And then the big question was, so they also send direct mail to their highest value customers. And then it said it makes sense. It's the most expensive one. We give it to our best customers. And they send emails to their prospects and dormants. And so across all of these 6 countries, we're like, this is exactly wrong. Because if you look at the responsiveness, prospects and dormants don't respond to your emails. I mean, if you get an email from a company you have not heard about, right? Or, you can't pronounce L'Occitane, you're probably not going to buy there. Whereas if you're a customer that regularly comes inside they have wonderful offline stores, by the way, and you see them, then an email may be enough to remind me to buy again. Whereas, these direct mails, they talk about the product assortment. It's beautiful and flashy. You can show it to people in your family or at your work. And so we saw in historical data that it worked very well with prospects and dormants. And so then we did the experiment, right? And this was in Italy, that we actually indeed switched it and found that the company could, yes, save a lot of money. We also had some really cool things there because, of course, this is like more recent, and we had the opt-out things, right? So some people opt out of direct mail explicitly, but not explicitly in email. Other people explicitly opt out in email, but not direct mail. And a fun kind of, this is a side hypothesis, but we're like, hey, is this people that just really don't like a certain channel? Don't want to be bothered by you at all, by companies. And we figured out it was the latter one. So if somebody says, don't send me a direct mail, they typically also don't want your email and vice versa, which is something that, we are the company that didn't know. So that got the practice prize a few years ago. And that was really indeed, so different customer segments react very differently to what you have to offer.
I think that's very relevant, the new versus existing. You talked about your fax strategy, your beeper strategy, your phone strategy from before, but the in vogue metrics, from a finance side is your CAC versus lifetime value, which is very much that new customer focus. So from what I hear, the mix of your media, depending on your customer segmentation, one being educating your customer, forming a relationship, which might be more costly, might be higher impact, higher cost ads, might grow your business, while reminders, emails, maybe those more affordable ways of reaching out to customers are with your existing. And I do think that this CAC to lifetime value metrics is overvalued for marketers because it does cost money. And this is something John and I talk a lot internally about, is getting an existing customer to convert again still sometimes requires reminders and ads, and they're not free. And that's unless you're locking into a Verizon contract, or if you're locking into a life insurance policy, applying them across all industries is a little arbitrary or extreme.
Well, I mean, what I've found is that's a shortcut that folks have done that I can't get on board with. If you have a company like L'Occitane, I'm under no obligation to ever buy there again. So they're going to keep marketing to me. And the question was, should they use email or should they use direct mail? But in the finance, in the counting of this, I've seen too many companies ignore that spend and just count all the spend against acquiring new customers. And I just don't think that's the right finance for running a marketing P&L, to say, like, I spend all my money to acquire customers and everyone else comes back for free.